well today. We are back for our latest video in the ASMR Anatomy series. Just wanted to say thank you for everyone who has been watching and subscribing, and then maybe sharing with anybody else who also enjoys not just ASMR, but also anatomy. So, or just any other videos from this channel. I appreciate you all. If you do like these videos, please leave them a like. Please subscribe if you want to make sure that you're up to date. Now, I have teased this a couple times, and this is a video that I'm pretty excited to get into, and that's going to be, it's called the brachial plexus. Brachial plexus. And a plexus is a series of in this case, plex, like complex, it's a series of nerves that run together from the like under your clavicle area down into your arm, that provides the innervation for your arm, and that's why it belongs in the upper limb series. We will get back to our anatomy manual here soon, but I figured it would be easier. There are different diagrams that I've seen that very much simplify this complex series of nerves. So in this video, I kind of wanted to unpack that for you guys so that whenever we go through it in the future, it's a little bit less confusing, maybe a little bit less intimidating, or that's kind of the spirit of what I'm going for. And so we will go ahead and get started. Maybe if we have time, we'll go through some clinical cases and stuff too. But the first portion that we need to know, and there are different subdivisions within the brachial plexus that are noteworthy. So the first section is going to be your roots. Your roots. And our nerve roots in this case. And again, you're here for ASMR. In this case, you're not here for art. So I'm going to do my best to give it an artist touch, but I would not say that I have ever been known for my art skills. Many things, but that is not one of them. So we have three different sets of conjoining roots that contribute to this entire complex, I guess you could call, or plexus. Complex. Plexus. And then, so we've got C5, C6, C7. The C8 nerve, which again, there's only 7 cervical vertebrae, but if as you remember from our spinal review, there is an 8th cervical, and those run together. So these are going to be our roots: C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. And we'll go ahead and throw a little color on them, because as we add on to this, it may get a little bit more confusing. So these guys are going to be orange, our roots. Those are our roots. And then the next division after roots is going to be trunks. Trunks. And from C5 to C6, we're going to have a portion that goes straight on ahead. For C7, we've got an interesting, actually, that's not quite yet. We've got a straight portion here also. And then for this portion, we've got this here. And again, keep in mind that these are all running through your arm. So in this case, this would be, you can visualize it, this would be your right arm. So this is the upper portion of your right arm going down to the hand. So I'll put just a note here, right arm. And this is going to be your clavicle region, going towards, eventually, down to your hand. So just a couple of notes here that kind of help keep us oriented. And for this color, we'll go with, first color I grabbed, we're going to go with this light purple color. It's going to be our trunks. Trunks. And the trunks have names, and it just speaks to their orientation to each other. So this is superior trunk, the middle trunk, okay so far. Next is where things maybe get a little bit more interesting. Next is going to be our divisions. And for this portion, so we're continuing on with the superior division, or this division here. It'll actually become, yeah, this is still the superior portion. And then we will continue straight here. I'm looking at my notes and drawing at the same time. And this here. And then we've got a little crossover effect from the middle into the C5-C6 connection. And then we've got a little connection over here. Kind of X marks the spot effect. And then we have another connection up into here. Now, to make this a little bit less confusing, we'll use some more colors here. So the black portion is going to be our anterior portion. So it's the most superficial. So remember, I'll put in parentheses as a little note that this portion is most superficial. The black portion. It's most superficial. And then we'll have our highlighted portion here that's going to be running a little bit more inferiorly. So there we go. And I'll put a little note next to the yellow. It's going to be more inferior. Okay. So now we've made it through the divisions. So the anterior and the posterior are the superficial and the inferior. And then next we have chords. And we're kind of back to, if you want to call it normal, somewhat normal. I need to actually make this part black as well. There we go. For this, let's see, what do we want to go with? We'll go with green. For the chords. They are very straightforward. And here you're going to have your lateral, your posterior, and your medial. Now, these are exactly as they sound, and this is part of why it can get so confusing, is because whenever this portion of nerves hits the chord portion, this starts to run lateral, so it runs laterally in the arm. This runs posteriorly, so deep into the arm, and then this runs medially, so through the middle of the arm. It's, again, this is a reductive way of looking at it, but you have to take multiple looks at it, because otherwise the information can just be generally overwhelming. And now we're going to be getting to the final portion here, which is the branches. And these are the some of the identifiable nerves at the end of the plexus. So they kind of reach their end destination. They're active all along the way here, but there is some different identifiable nerves here at the end. And so this is going to bifurcate up and over, and then this is going to down and through, and then there is, yes, okay, and then there's the lateral contribution here, and there is the medial contribution here that goes into here. Okay, these ending nerves, you might say. Some of these might be familiar, some of them you may have never heard of before. Here's the ulnar nerve. This is going to be your radial nerve. This is going to be your median nerve. These are very important. All of these are very important for your forearm and your hand. This is going to be the axillary nerve. And then this one is called the musculocutaneous nerve. Musculocutaneous nerve. Now, we will get into the specific functions of these nerves in a later video. We'll come back to this exact chart that I've made here. But I wanted to provide some memory mnemonics for this, and then maybe get into a couple clinical cases for what can happen if there's any injury to the brachial plexus itself. So let me see here. I'm gonna pull up my memory mnemonic. Let me find it. So the way that I learned it, so you have to do roots, trunks, divisions, chords, branches. So I'll put in little quotes. Rugby teams don't cover bruises. And that's how I learned the order. Rugby teams don't cover bruises. Roots, trunks, divisions, chords, branches. Now, there are different types of brachial plexus injuries, so potential injuries to the brachial plexus. That can be, one is called neuropraxia. Neuropraxia. And I'll just put in parentheses. It's a stretch. It's a stretching of the nerve. So you put it under stress, but it's mild damage. And you could say nerve aggravation. Another one is called a neuroma. And this is a partially torn nerve. And that has scar tissue after healing. Some issues with the nerve itself. Sorry about that. Here, I thought I had put my phone on silent. Forgive me. There's nerve rupture. So, torn nerve, but not at attachment. So it's not torn at the attachment point here. It's torn elsewhere, somewhere through here. Very problematic, but it does not disable the entire arm, just that one little portion. And then there's what's called an avulsion. A-V-U-L. Try that again. A-V-U-L-S-I-O-N. Avulsion. And that is a tear. And that's from the spinal cord. No function. Very unfortunate, but those are different potential injuries that can be sustained. Now, there's a few names for specific types of injuries that we can get into, and let me see. There's a couple common ones. Yeah, we'll get into next time. I want to get into the specific functions of these different nerves, but there was a couple injuries that I wanted to get into. Let me see if I can that's a C5, C6 injury. C5, C6 injury. And it has a specific, they call this like a waiter's tip. And I'll unpack more of this when we go over the functions of the nerve. But essentially what happens is it causes the arm to be straight down and then the hand to curl like this. I'm trying to think of the best way to show you, like this. So it looks like a waiter walking by you asking for a tip. So Erb's palsy. And then the next one that I want to get into is Klumpke's palsy. And that's a C8T1 injury. So Erb's is going to be here, and Klumpke's is going to be here. And this one is called a clawed hand. Clawed hand. So the injury of the nerves in this section here through C8T1 causes a paralysis of specific muscles and then a contraction of the metacarpopharyngeal joints, so through here, to where their hand is stuck like this in a clawed formation. Really unfortunate. Both of these tend to be injuries that come because of childbirth, not exclusively, but sometimes whenever a child is being born, coming out of the birth canal, if they get stuck and the doctor has to pull or manipulate the child in such a way that the clavicle is compromised or injured or sustains an injury, then this Erb palsy at C5, C6 or Klumpke's palsy at C8T1 can occur, and it can have lifelong issues because, unfortunately, nerve regeneration is one of the frontiers of medicine that we've really just not figured out yet. Optimistic for when that day comes, but we're just not there yet. I think we're going to go ahead and stop this video here for now, and we'll do a part 2 where we get into the specific functions and how some of these relationships work with one another. But just again, remember, so this is, you can remember, this is going to be from the spinal cord level, again, coming out of the spinal cord, going under the clavicular level, going towards the hand. So you've got the roots, the trunks, the divisions, the cords, and the branches. From C5 and C6, you have the superior portion, a superficial portion, the lateral portion, and then that has contributions to the musculocutaneous and median nerves. For C7, you have the root portion and then the middle trunk, and then you have divisions, the divisions portions running inferiorly. And I should have mentioned C5, C6 has an inferior portion too. And then the inferior trunk also has an inferior portion and a superficial portion. And then for the cords, lateral, posterior, medial, pretty straightforward. But for C7, there's a contribution to the axillary nerve and the radial nerve. And then last is C8T1, inferior to the medial, to the ulnar and the median nerve both. So kind of an interconnected web here at the end. Got the different types of injuries, the neuropraxia, neuroma, rupture, and avulsion, the different types of palsies that can come from the injuries in these different regions. And next time we'll get into the specific functions, and then we'll use those specific functions to reiterate how these palsies are possible, and maybe just some other new noteworthy pieces of information to just further provide context information, because this is not a sit down in 20 minutes kind of figure it out thing. This is an overview, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty with both the anatomy atlas and some of the clinical information in the future. So for now, we'll bring this to a close. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy. Yeah, until next time, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.